Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons. We're going to talk about Stranger Things Season 4. Spoiler alert for all of Stranger Things, okay? And we're going to talk about romance in your Dungeons & Dragons game and the lessons that are coming from Stranger Things 4 for dealing with romance in your Dungeons & Dragons game. All right, so, man, I absolutely love this Stranger Things Season 4. I've watched the first 7 episodes. And I wanted to talk about romance in Stranger Things 4 and the lessons we as Dungeon Masters should learn from watching Stranger Things 4. Okay, so I sit down with a good friend of mine and we watch the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things 4 together. S4, Season 4, Episode 1, Season 4, Episode 2, right? And Will Byers in there, right? And so we're watching this, and basically, Will is upset. Okay, Mike comes to visit Jane L. 11, right? I really don't know what to call her. It's kind of a complicated subject. So I'm just going to call her L, okay? So Mike comes to visit L, and Will is upset because L is not telling Mike the truth, right? And he's also upset because he feels like Mike is not interacting with him or L correctly, all right? So Will's upset, right? And so I'm watching this with my friend, and my friend goes, "Oh, Will likes L," and I'm like, "Yeah, I think that's right." At first, I was thinking, "Yeah, I think that's right," right? But then I actually, I was really deep in it, and I didn't want to say too much. Plus, romance is a complicated subject in Stranger Things 4. We're going to talk about romance in D&D in a minute. It's a complicated subject in Dungeons & Dragons too, right? So I dropped this out, right? And so what I thought was, I was like, wait, my friend was like, oh, Will likes 11, right? And I was like, okay, I see where there might be some clues for that, right? And as I watched for Season 7, I was like, there's some clues for that. But Will Byers' orientation has been a huge question, right? Is he cis? Is he gay? And then and I've watched Stranger Things a lot, right? Like a lot, right? And I really thought the direction that the story was going was that Will would be asexual, right? Now the reason why is this would be new and innovative. I can definitely tell you my favorite gay character in all of Hollywood, and I can tell you my favorite cis character in all of Hollywood stories, right? I can't tell you who my favorite asexual character is, because if you told me to count all the asexual characters that Hollywood has put forward, I don't think I could fill a single hand, right? Like I'd still have, I think, all my fingers, right? Like, I don't, asexual characters are, LGBTQIA. I can't tell you the last time I saw an A, right? Like, and Will seemed perfectly positioned to carry this letter forward, right? But still, Hollywood's like, well, L's cool, G's cool, cis cool, but that's it. You don't get an A, right? And I'm like, I really feel like this was a missed opportunity, and I was interested to see this because I really don't know a lot about asexual people, and Hollywood seems to be saying, well, love is love is love is love is love. No. Asexual doesn't get to be represented, right? And I think it's really kind of sad because it really seemed like a missed opportunity. What's really fascinating to me is I am a huge fan of Grace Randolph. So she did her review of Stranger Things, and I loved watching Stranger Things, and I'm like, oh, here's the icing on the cake. I'm going to watch Grace's review of Grace's spoiler review and her character review and all her content on Stranger Things Season 4. So I did, right? And you know what she said? She's like, well, it's pretty, we only saw the 7 episodes, but I'm pretty sure Will's going to tell Mike that he loves him. And I was like, wait, what? I did not catch that. Like, I did not catch any clues that Will was in love with Mike. But Grace did. right? So my friend saw definite vibes that Will was in love with 11, okay? I saw definite vibes that Will was in love with no one and did not wish to love anyone or anyone to love him, right? In a physical way, in that orientation, right? He's asexual, right? Like, and which is really fascinating, and I feel like it's also this very like it's a lacuna within Hollywood. Hollywood will not touch this subject, right? Like, and then Grace was like, he's gay, right? So where is the lesson for us as dungeon masters? Okay, so first of all, I want to be super clear. So this is my advice, okay, for dealing with romance in Dungeons & Dragons. First of all, do not skip it, right? I think a lot of people are like, oh, you don't do romance in Dungeons & Dragons. I'll tell you right now, if you ever run into a dungeon master and there's never any romance in their games, that's a suck dungeon master. Just be aware of that. You might not know that, but they are, right? Like, and here's why. Dungeons & Dragons is like, it covers every aspect of life. We are literally exploring these characters, right? And to leave out the romance in their lives is foolish, right? Now, you're like, wait a second, Scott, how do we deal with romance in a Dungeons & Dragons game? Well, first of all, you games should be PG-13, right? A lot of great PG-13 movies deal with romance, and that's the best way to handle it, right? So make sure your game is PG-13. Put that cap on it, right? That's important, right? So that's important, right? Once you have that done, you definitely want to explore romance in your games, and you want to tread very, very carefully, right? And you want to be respectful to all orientations, to all races, to all genders, and you want to think about this, right? But the other thing that I think is the major lesson, here's the key lesson. Do not forget this. Do not forget for 1 second that you're gonna put the boards down and you're gonna put the pieces on the board. What the experiencer takes away from your clues, you don't control, right? Stranger Things is throwing down a specific message, right? And it was not clear, and 3 different people came away with 3 different thoughts, right? And that's okay, but as a dungeon master, you darn well better know it, right? You can lay down clues, but you do not interpret how they're received. That is very, very important to understand. That's my opinion. What's your opinion? How do you handle this in your game? I'd love to hear how you handle romance in your games. I put a strong PG-13 cap on it. I definitely address romance in my Dungeons & Dragons games. Carefully, tolerantly, yeah. And I think that's the best way to go forward. How do you handle it? I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.